Joining us is former U.S. Ambassador to Denmark and AFPI Foreign Policy Chair Carla Sands. Welcome, Madam Ambassador. Thank you for being with us. What is the significance of Greenland from a national security standpoint?
Well, Trey, there's so many things I could talk about, but just to keep it short, it's part of North America. It is unsecure today because Denmark can't afford to secure it. They never have been able to afford to secure it. And in 2019, when President Trump told the current prime minister, you need to do more to get Greenland secure, she said she would. She said she would invest $200 million into Greenland security. But she actually only invested 1%, $2 million, and it wasn't even into security. It was a kind of education effort. So she didn't keep her word. Denmark has no interest in securing Greenland. They can't afford to. It's all they can do to send that welfare transfer every year of about $600 million. So President Trump is right. Greenland is unsecure today.
All right, here's the premier of Greenland, and I'll ask you about it on the other side.
Would you welcome an increased presence of U.S. forces here in Greenland? Do you want to see the Golden Dome missile defense shield deployed here?
We are part of the NATO framework. We are willing to discuss and do more. We have a responsibility. So let's talk about it through the right channels in a respectful manner. Then I'm sure we can work something out that benefits all of us.
All right, you are an expert and I am not. To me, Denmark is a friend, they're an ally. Sometimes friends do disagree. Do you think things are getting back to normal, and what will it take for them to get back to normal with what's been a friend of ours?
Well, they have been a friend, but they've wanted us to take care of them more or less so that they can put their taxpayer funds into really lavish social welfare programs like free college, free health care, free child care. And they pay a lot of taxes, but the Danish citizens expect a lot back. So the prime minister there is actually doing what her citizens want her to do. She's making, she's putting Denmark first. She's not putting Greenland first. And in fact, when I was the ambassador, there were 30 Danish soldiers and 2 dog sled teams, and that's what Denmark considered to be adequate security. What the current premier of Greenland is talking about is concessions. So they are going to want money, and they're going to want concessions from the U.S. government, and so will Denmark, in order for the U.S. to do anything. And there is the problem. If there's always a tripartite discussion and it's hard for us to get our bases where we want, and it has a lot of friction rather than the U.S. being able to secure the area, I think it's going to be a problem for President Trump. I think he wants to be sure that we have Greenland so that it can be part of the Golden Dome and it doesn't fall into Russian or Chinese hands. Because I had Greenlanders say to me openly, money has no color. We don't care where the investment comes from. If it doesn't come from the United States, it can come from China. They really just want to be developed, and Denmark's never had the capacity or interest to develop Greenland. It's kind of like it's on a welfare program, but not an expansive, I would say, prosperity program that an association with the United States could give these people. But Denmark's done a psyop on the people of Greenland so that they're now terrified of the United States. When I left, we had a really great relationship with Greenland. We had established, after 67 years, our diplomatic relations with Greenland, put a consulate in Greenland for the first time since the 1950s, I think it was. So we had really made strides for security and diplomacy, but Denmark just has never been willing to do their part. I'm just not sure how it will work either if it's driven by NATO. First of all, Greenland's not part of the EU. I'm not sure that it's part of NATO. The region certainly could be considered. But I think it's a really tricky thing because all NATO allies have to agree before any action is taken. So others could also try to restrict U.S. efforts to, for instance, put in President Trump's Great Golden Dome that's going to involve Alaska and Greenland.
Madam Ambassador, thank you for your service to our country. I need to have you back on so we can talk about the current and future state of NATO in the interim. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday night. We'll see you soon.
Great to be with you. Thanks, Trey.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.